Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? Baby Friday night's Eve. God damn, it's almost the weekend. Hey, we got a really amazing show for you today. We got a really amazing individual who I've known for a couple of years now. But before we get started, let's get all the good pleasantries out of the way. Hey, this show is brought to you by the Money Pro. Hey, when was the last time that you had a really good financial needs analysis? In other words, that after you transition out, you got you know how much you're paying out every month. You know where you need to be. How much is that you're going to need to pay off your loans, including your home, and how long is that going to take you? When did you get yourself all organized? And by the way, something like this done for free. Well, if this makes sense and you want to learn more about, where you need to be and where you currently at financially and where you need to be, hey, go. It's all in the show description right there. Go to the website. Schedule yourself for about a 30, 40-minute strategy session, and we'll go over some really good things that can paint a real picture as to where you are financially, whether you're still on active duty, transitioning, or you're already out. You need to know that, because retirement, even though some of us are veterans, you're receiving VA claims and benefits, or you're a retiree and you're receiving both, we still can make not so good decisions, and having a blueprint and something that's going to set you up for success and how to invest that money properly or roll over those thrift savings monies that you left behind will really help you out when you're in your 60s and even 70s or however long you're going to live, because retirement is not an age, it's an actual financial figure, and you don't want to find yourself greeting people at Walmart later in life unless you want to, because you outlived your pension or it just can't keep up with your lifestyle. Because myth number one is, as we get older, we spend less. That is not true. Okay. So give us a call. We'll help you out. Just a conversation, no commitment, no pressure, no nothing. All right. The other thing is, when was the last time, has anybody here have not applied for your VA claims and benefits? I know there's a couple of you here because I myself help veterans do this as well. And, it's amazing to this day how, still, amazes me how many people don't want to do that or just don't want to go through a hassle. While the system is not perfect, I get it. However, it is the only one that we have, and we have to utilize it so that because as we get older and things start going sideways, because like my mom likes to say, no, I am not the Latin Forrest Gump, and, that life is like my mom didn't say like, life was like a box of chocolate. Actually, she, for her, it was like, life is like a chancla, and she's gonna whip you with it with a shoe. God damn it. No, but seriously, age doesn't come by itself. So, take it from somebody who's had multiple surgeries after service. You want to be, treated for that and not pay out of pocket, because we do have something already implemented. So if you need help with that, shoot me a DM. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, just pretty much anywhere. I will get back to you very soon. As a matter of fact, I respond pretty quickly, and we'll get you going and get you in the right place. By the way, just so you know, I teach you how to fish. So this is not me doing everything for you. This is me walking the dog with you and showing you, so that way you do it on your own, and hopefully you show somebody else. Okay. If you also need help, if you want to get in the podcasting game, or you want to learn how to write a book, you want to learn how to do many different things, this is a huge shout out to Brian Colbert. He's been an amazing mentor and friend, And just I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this man. So go to Brian Colburn. You can find him on LinkedIn, social media, Sitchradio.com. Give him a shout out and have a session with him, because you never know where your path might take you, where you might be behind a microphone with many guests, maybe a sexy accent like this one right away. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so that's it for now. I think we got all the pleasantries out of the way. If you like what you hear, you like the sexy accent, like, subscribe, and follow. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, and just about anywhere on the interweb. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. Hey, look, this guest right here. I know this gentleman for many years. He was a vet that I met at a safety event that when I was in corporate, we did a safety event. Young man, very eager, hungry. I mean, go getter. I mean, he's a jarhead. So, I mean, why wouldn't he be? Right. And just many different things. Life takes you a certain way. However, when you think that you got this path figured out, life takes you a different way. And he's been doing some amazing things. So, hey, let's welcome Joe Warhol to the show. What's going on, bud? How are you?
I'm good, Pacho. How about yourself? Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it's always a pleasure. After a while, reconnecting with just friends from when we were transitioning, because we met when we were transitioning now.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Tell everybody how we met, and what you did in the Marine Corps when you came in. The usual shit that we talk about when you first meet another fellow jarhead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I came up to you at the time. I was on staff at Wounded Warrior Battalion West at Camp Pendleton, and being at Camp Pendleton there with all the transitioning Marines that would come from Wounded Warrior Battalion specifically to retire out or whatever med board they were working with. They would always put on transitioning seminars, career opportunity seminars, safety seminars. So like any of us on staff could get, an OSHA certification and stuff like that. And that's 100% what it was. If I remember right, it was an OSHA class that you came and spoke with about getting into, safety and safety administration, different things like that. And I think I came up to you and just introduced myself, as every Marine should know how to do. Reach a hand out, shake a hand, and asked you, I think you mentioned a company that was hiring. I think it was your company at the time. That, hey, this is something I'd be interested in. I have about to get my OSHA 30 certification. I've worked in safety before. Like, it just kind of makes sense, right? And that's what you're always told in the Marine Corps, more often than not anyway, is like, find a skill, hone that skill, get good at that skill, be good at what you do. Some way you can translate it to the civilian world, no matter what that might be, right?
Right.
Which I think is kind of, after learning, is kind of a misnomer or an oxymoron a little bit, if you will. But we'll jump into that a little bit. But anyway, that's where we met, kept in touch. You put me in touch with your organization. They were looking for someone new. Luckily, I was a reservist on orders. So it's not like I had a 2, 3, or 4 more year contract. I was able to drop off my orders whenever I wanted. After having a conversation with your organization at the time again, I was something that they wanted on board. They were looking for somebody like me, and just so happens the timing just wasn't right. The organization went into a hiring freeze because they were taking over another company, I guess, which I understand now. At the time, it's kind of heartbreaking because I dropped off my active duty orders to take this job before I got a job offer, unfortunately. So a message for you veterans out there, or any of you Marine service members listening: if you're on orders from the reserves or doing something weird, like an IMA billet that you can drop off your orders from, if you're going to, make sure you have a backup plan in place, not just a verbal offer. But I think the rest is kind of history from there, really, Pacho. I think me, you, and your son kept in touch via phone or text, emails, probably for a few months. And then we all kind of, you know, went our different ways, and you ended up leaving that organization and moving on. And
Yeah.
I think more recently we've just been more connected on LinkedIn, which I think is a huge asset and tool out there if you know how to use it right. But just getting connected on there, and something I posted, I think, on LinkedIn just a day or two ago, you know, you liked and reached out and said, "What's up? Let's talk." And here I am.
Yeah, no, and you know, it's one thing that as I do a lot of this advocacy and teaching fellow vets as they're transitioning out, say, look, you know, just because you're getting out, whether it's 4 years, 10 years, a lifetime, whatever, don't just, you know, ghost or you know, ninja smoke everybody, because
Yeah.
you never know how you come back. You know, full circle, needing, you know, you never know where the next I guess you could say assistance or job or whatever it may come from somebody. But before, you know, before we can say, you know, so I got a little bit of you. So you got some, you know, some global war and terrorism experience.
Yep.
So you spent some time in Afghanistan. What stuck with you the most from that experience, and how did that transition a little bit into the private sector? Can you share just a little bit of that with us, man?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I think, you know, this we could probably dive a rabbit hole down a little bit,
Yeah.
which we don't have to do because we could probably spend an hour talking about
Hell yeah.
leadership philosophies and, you know, quoting Marcus Aurelius and stuff like that, but we won't go there yet. I'm huge into that, by the way. So if you did want to have that conversation,
Oh, believe me, me too. Me too.
You know, I think the biggest takeaway from, you know, active duty in general, combat deployment in a very, you know, dynamic, kinetic AO, you know, Southern Helmand Province, you know, Sangin River Valley, Kajaki Dam area.
Yeah.
You know, we were always on the move. And we were just a security team within a CLB that kind of bounced around, you know, doing convoy security and route clearance security all around Southern Helmand Province. And, you know, I don't want to say I was just something, but, you know, I was a truck driver, basically motor T.
Yeah.
And we lived out of our trucks. And
yeah.
That's just the way life was. You know, I never heard the term much until the tail end of our deployment and coming home. You know, and some of the veterans out there might get this. I've had a few people laugh at it, but freedom is outside the wire. I never know how true that rang until you spend 2 to 3 weeks outside the wire, living out of your trucks, under the stars with your boys, doing the things that everyone's always kind of wanted to do as a Marine, right? Just being out there. I can't speak to the infantry world. I wasn't infantry, but I know infantry guys get that same kick out of that. Like, I'm out here in the field with my Marines doing what we know how to do. And that's where that kind of camaraderie comes from. And that's what I kind of learned from that as well. But I learned about overall, like, good leadership, good and bad leadership.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we learn more from the bad and the toxic than we do from the good. Because we might take it for granted sometimes. Learning about good and bad leadership and learning how to take care of your team. I was lucky to have a very, excuse me, I got the hiccups here. I was lucky to have a very good platoon sergeant and platoon commander and company commander and a lot of really good staff NCOs that knew what the hell they were doing, and not just from a tactical, you know, subject matter expert in MOS standpoint, but just understood how to be present in a stressful time. And that's what everyone looks for as leaders, right? Just be present. Sometimes you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be present and be empathetic and be there for your Marines or for your people. And sometimes it's as simple as that, but that's probably some of the best takeaways from Afghanistan. You know, we could sit here all day probably and share, you know, running and gunning war stories and taking ambushes here, hitting IEDs there, whatever the case may be. Especially for a lot of the vets out there that were in Afghanistan, 2010, 11, 12 time frame. It was pretty fun, right? But yeah, leadership, good and bad.
Yeah, and you're right. You can always learn, even from, man, I could tell you story. You as a recruiter, you'll always remember who alligated against you. And I that name just, but you can also remember all, everybody, all the bad leaders are like, oh yeah, I remember this guy. I mean, I can name them all by name.
Oh yeah.
And whatever. I mean, but it just like, okay, I'll never be that guy. So you there's some positive you taken away from that individual. So, excuse me. And what do you think? So you came back, and just for our audience, obviously we got there's some vets here. What was the toughest part when you were transitioning out of the uniform? So that way, because this will lead us into the next things, your post service, the things that you're doing. So, but what do you think it was one of the, because and by the way, I worked at I&I duty staff, but I know you got some active duty. You also, you're also reservist. So you kind of have both this perspectives, because you deployed, you did all these amazing things, but also as a reserve. So I guess transition out of the uniform, what did you find? What were some of your struggles?
The first time or the second time?
Oh, okay. So you're kind of like me, because I got out. I was active duty, got out, became a reservist, went back in. So yeah.
Yep. So I had always been a reservist from day one.
Okay.
But I had the opportunity to jump on orders, I&I ADOS orders, go on my deployment, come back, go on like 3-month orders for, say, the annual training period, do different things.
Right.
So the first time I transitioned out or off of active duty was, kind of easy. It's fresh off deployment. You come home, you go through kind of some of the yellow ribbon stuff, that Camp Lejeune or Camp Pendleton, wherever you're kind of demilling from, if you will.
Right.
Wherever they're putting that on at, that's like a week long. You come home. It's not really much like TRS process when you're coming from active duty, which I have experience with now as well, or I got as well. So that's why I ask the first or the second time.
Right.
So I'll go with the second time just to speed this along, because the second time was tough. The first time was easy because I knew I was going to go back to school. And I kind of kept myself busy through school for 3 more years or 4 more years. But the second time was tough because I, checked out of the reserves and went on active duty orders for the opportunity to, at the time I was at like 12 years in, and I wanted to do 20 or more, go maybe the warrant officer route, do something else, pick up first sergeant, pick up a first sergeant commander, 89, 99 billet, wherever they have one type of thing. Because I knew some reservists who went kind of the same route. They left active duty, came back after time in reserves, and kind of went on their career from there. So that was kind of the idea I had in my head. But when I started dealing with some personal things, both physical and mental health things, I knew it was kind of my time to leave. And it just so happened that I was looking at that job opportunity as well. Like, hey, my value as a civilian is far more than it can ever be in uniform, right?
Right.
Especially at that point where I was like, well, I think my time is done. And not getting that job offer like I thought I was going to, taking the uniform off kind of once and for all, because I got my disability rating. I was like, well, that's it. There's no coming back at this point. Not having a job, not really having a place to live. I had left my condo in Carlsbad because I wasn't on orders anymore. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't afford to live there. So I moved back to Arizona, and went through probably about a year transition of figuring out who, not just, Staff Sergeant or Gunnery Sergeant Warhol was. Because that's another kind of thorn my side. I got selected for gunning when I left active duty, and I never promoted. So,
oh wow,
I was a Gunnery Sergeant select, but never actually promoted. But anyway, getting that far and then having to take it off and feeling worthless. Yeah, I had a bachelor's degree. Yeah, I had some cool operational experience, as a junior Marine in Afghanistan, had some cool staff experience, from a few group level, division level staff and Wounded Warrior Battalion. Got a lot of good experience, but zero clue how to use that as a civilian.
Yeah. Do you think that and before I guess we move on to the next, because it's a good transition. It's like we're connected. You tee me off on, but do you think that part, which I know the answer, it's kind of rhetorical, but what do you think were some of the shortcomings that could have maybe helped you, making that transition, back into the civilian workforce, if any?
The issues that I ran into, I wish I had a better answer for you than what I'm about to give you, Pacho. But
No. I asked on purpose.
I have to be honest, with you, with my audience, with myself as well. The biggest shortcomings were my personal shortcomings. The chip on my shoulder about being, a 12 years staff NCO, gunnery sergeant select with a bachelor's degree and, OSHA certification. I thought I had, the world was my oyster and I could just go leave and go do whatever I wanted. Just slap a few things on a resume based on my experience and call it good. I had a chip on my shoulder about that. I had a chip on my shoulder about, not getting pinned gunny. I had a chip on my shoulder about all the little things that I had really no control of, but I call it lost control of.
Wow.
There are things in uniform that you think as a gunny, a staff sergeant, probably as a chief warrant officer, that, yeah, you're capable of this, but someone can backfill you tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that's you just,
and they're going to do it just as good or if not better. So,
or just as worse, and they're still going to keep
right?
and they're going to retain them. That's crazy.
Yep.
And so,
and the same thing applies in the civilian world, if not even more. It's like, you are replaceable.
100%. Oh yeah, regardless of how faithful you are, and just. And I'll finish like with this. A fellow co-worker of mine, I was just literally talking. I like to work a lot out of Starbucks because what I do is it's really amazing. I could work out of anywhere.
It's good company.
Yeah, but I was talking to somebody over there, and we were talking about layoffs and things. I'm like, well, I knew a guy, and we're still good friends. 21 years, super faithful dude to this company. And I was telling him, like, dude, you should be looking just in case. Throw yourself out there, interview, blah, blah. No, they love me here. Shit. I was in Japan, with my wife, and I get a text message. It was early in the morning. It was like, because, it was afternoon here. It's like, so-and-so just got laid off. I'm like, what? So I got up and I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, they just laid him off. Not even 3 weeks ago, the company had just celebrated, 20 years with the company. What a milestone. Here's a box, no shit. Here's a box of Ferrero Rocher, box of chocolates, which is like the big deal. I was like, oh, everybody used to go ape shit about these things. And I'm like, because we get it. Because I'm like, do you know how to replace it? And I used to tell him, like, dude, anyways, so and you're right. So
that opens up such a can of worms. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go.
That brings up such a big can of worms for me. Having a little bit of experience in corporate culture, that's part of the reason I've left and went back on active duty, is the culture in an office setting like that, unfortunately, is, hey, you get this box of chocolates at 10, 20 years. Hey, every 2 weeks after, killing yourselves, putting in 10 hours overtime a week, we're going to give you a pizza party during your lunchtime, though. You can come have pizza, but don't miss any phone calls or, miss anything at your desk. And it's it's unfortunate that organizations operate that way.
And to your point,
that, you know what, I don't need anything at all. Stop by my desk and say, hey, happy 20 years or whatever, and I'm cool with that.
And people will kill themselves. The crazy thing is
Yep.
that people kill themselves for that carrot. It's like telling them, it's like telling a Marine, hey, everybody, you're gonna get a box of MREs if you guys just kill. Oh, hell yeah! Or no, better yet, tray rations. Oh shit, yeah! It's like you can keep that, dude.
Yep. Keep the pizza, keep the chocolates, keep the kumbaya stuff in meetings. Just tell me what you want done.
Yeah, and pay me more.
In true Marine Corps fashion, give me my left and right lateral limits and just let me run. Leave me alone.
So so after you got out, now you pretty much you went from you started doing all these amazing. You did some years in higher education. So I guess what started shaping or kind of shaping your path into helping veterans succeed in that kind of space, man.
Being open, being honest, being candid with them about what they're. You hear my dog barking. Sorry.
It's okay.
Being candid with the veteran and the service member who is on their way out and looking for guidance. It might come off cold or maybe disingenuous sometimes or salty. Pick your descriptive term, but I think we blow a little bit too much smoke up service members and veterans' asses, if you will, about what they're capable of, what they can do, what they should do, using those MOS skill translators and organizations out there that'll tell like, oh, you are an operations officer, you can go be a COO somewhere. Or the biggest one that drives me crazy is the project management. Every Marine's a project manager. Everybody's a project manager, especially if you have a PMP cert. Sorry, guys. PMP certs are great. PMI is great. Being an operations, guy, operations chief, running stuff like that for the Marine Corps, that's a great experience. But they're not the same thing. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't buy into that garbage that some people are selling, if you will.
Yeah, because and because you could have been a shitty S3, chief. You could have been a shitty S3 officer. For those of you who don't habla military language, it's basically it's when you work in operations in the military and do organizing things. I mean, you were just there. If you were just there, or just because you have a rocker or shiny bars. Because you're right. It's very different in the private sector. So, what were some of the biggest challenges you saw, I guess, for student vets that were trying to use their benefits?
Yeah, understanding their benefits mostly, because a lot of students are fresh off active duty. A lot of times they get out in that heavy recruiting time frame, right? 4 years later. May to July timeframe, and then this fall semester starts in like August or September, depending on the school.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of students, call it incoming freshmen or transfer students, would be like, oh, well, I want to make sure I'm getting X, Y, or Z, excuse me again, or my boss getting paid outright, or the MHA, or they just don't know anything at all. And they're expecting themselves to be able to live off the GI Bill, which you certainly can do. I did it. But you're not going to have a lot of extra money, right? It's not meant to, be your income. It's meant to supplement yourself or live dirt cheap, if you will, somewhere if you can. Understanding your benefits, understanding medical coverages, benefits from the civilian world to, say, TRICARE, or from the VA, because that's actually the career I'm about to jump into here on Monday, is healthcare, working with veterans and helping them understand understand the nuances of healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare, all that stuff that goes with that. But yeah, for veterans, soon to be veterans, understand your benefits somewhere, understand what a salary compensation package is better, understand what car insurance is better. So man, I could go, my wife works in, auto insurance, has for years. I could share some stories that would blow your mind about junior service members with bare minimum auto coverage, and then they get into an accident or a DUI case and kind of ruin their lives. But yeah, understand car insurance, understand homeowners insurance, understand those, call it adult things that some of us are a little bit behind on, because we never had to worry about health insurance. We never had to worry about salary compensation plans, never had to worry about 401ks, Roth IRAs. So when you leave, those are the things you need to understand so you don't get screwed over or screw yourself over.
No, and that's one of the things that I do, because I'm kind of in that realm of in the finance industry.
I segue your direction, Pacho. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, but it's crazy because we are our own worst enemy. We're in an environment, and I get it, because so way we can, the war fighter can focus on war fighting. We were spoon fed all those other things. Hey, Gunny, hey, Staff Sergeant, can you come down to us to the admin office so we can do update your beneficiaries, your wills, your blah blah blah. You're like, oh, and you just didn't sign and done. Okay, I'm going to the field. Shut up, beep beep. I'm out. But now that you're navigating on it. What's a 401k? What is this? What is that? And it's like, oh shit, So, which is a pretty good segue. So now that you recently pivoted into the whole United Health Group thing. So, as a member and advocate, what would that role look like? How are you going to be helping vets in that capacity, bro?
So I'm not on the job yet. So I'll be kind of really 1,000-foot view, 10,000-foot view. That's what I'm going to say, because I haven't really diving into it. But from my understanding, within my role, it's going to be a lot of liaison work between like contracted organizations that have our healthcare program and Native American reservations who are qualified for Medicaid, Medicare automatically, but also may have VA, from being a veteran, or may have TRICARE from being retired. I have ran into, it's not often, but a few cases just through happenstance of a retired Marine has kept his TRICARE, but also has obviously VA healthcare if needed, but then also has a civilian healthcare through his wife. And they got into a car accident. He was injured. They were all injured. Well, they went through years of battles between insurance companies, basically like, well, who's paying this? Who's paying what? And they ended up with like a debt on their behalf, because the insurance companies couldn't figure out who was paying what on the hospital bill for the longest time. So it just left it as a debt on their, call it credit. And now I don't think that's legal anymore. Healthcare stuff can't be reported as debt now. But, for them, it did at the time. And they had like $40-some thousand in, medical debt with a hospital that the insurance companies were just giving them the runaround.
Yeah. I mean, and I know you're going to do the right thing, and because you've always been about giving back.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your work with the Home of Record project.
Sure.
So what's the mission there?
Yeah. So our mission, in a few short words, without really getting long-winded, like I know how to do. Our mission is to provide a home, or make sure that every honorably or other than honorably discharged, we don't get into discharges, but if you served honorably, you should have a roof over your head, is what it comes down to. Unless you by choice, for some other reason, decide to be homeless or couch surf or do whatever you're doing, unfortunately. But again, if you served and you're serving your community as well, just trying to get by, we think that you should have a roof over your head of some sort, some sort of opportunity, have some sort of transitional housing. So the Home of Record project, we're looking to kind of fill those gaps where the other organizations, state ran, federally ran, sometimes just kind of fall through or don't come through for the veteran just because of the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy that's involved with them. We're looking to kind of fill those gaps or fill those cracks. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit here in Phoenix, Arizona, or in Arizona in general. And we do financial assistance and housing assistance grants. Mm-hmm. And then we also have a 6-month transitional housing program where, hey, you're a veteran, you're about to be evicted, you apply, we put you in one of our homes, you live there for 6 months, and then we put you through kind of another, call it military transition. Because more often than not, from experience, right? Most veterans are having some sort of housing issue, family issue, substance issue. That's just a symptom of probably a bigger issue of, not feeling valued in the world or whatever mental health issue they might be dealing with. So we look to fix the problem, not put a Band-Aid on the symptom. So we're going to put you in our housing program for 6 months. You get to, drop your proverbial pack a little bit, live stress-free for a month on your own before we start putting you through some different programs that we offer: physical fitness, mental health, career transition programs, stuff like that, getting you a job, getting you out there in the world to network, to know who you are and get yourself a job. That's what that program does, is it gives you that opportunity to do that.
Did you say that's a nationwide program or?
No,
okay.
Unfortunately, I wish. Hopefully soon.
Okay. You also worked with, when I was reading your bio, you also worked with the Travis Mansion Foundations.
Travis Manning Foundation, yep.
Yeah, Travis Manning, my bad.
No worries.
What's the Character Does Matter program all about?
I'm glad you asked. That's kind of my go-to volunteer. Like, hey, this is what's important to me. And for a lot of the veterans out there and service members out there, you think that your leadership, those character traits that are all drilled into us at boot camp, talking about integrity, right? We all know what integrity means: doing the right thing when nobody's looking. Great. Yeah, that's awesome. That's something we live by.
Yeah.
But what does that really mean day to day in action? And are you being honest? Do you have integrity for yourself as well? Because sometimes doing the right thing, maybe in the community, what seems like the right thing may not be the right thing for yourself based on your values, your morals, whatever that looks like for you as a person. But the Character Does Matter program anyway runs through, I think, like 16 different character strengths. So call it curiosity, gratitude, leadership, hope, perseverance, zest, a whole bunch of different little character traits. And we build kind of that out in a speaking program with mostly youth, like high school age students, JROTC, baseball, football teams, athletic teams at a high school. I've been trying to get it into like the ROTC at Arizona State University because I know all the contacts down there. I've been wanting to get it in there, speaking with their, probably to be lieutenants and naval officers and Army officers, Air Force officers, get this in front of them as well. Because Travis Manning was a Naval Academy grad who kind of lived the whole thing behind Travis Manning is if not me, then who? Like, if I'm not going to do this, and we could go obviously down a whole other conversation with that, but he kind of coined the term, if not me, then who? So if I'm not going to do it, who else is going to do it? If I'm not going to fill that spot, who's the next man up, kind of thing, if you will. And that's what they preach about. That's what we preach about, and how those character traits, those leadership traits apply, like in real world, in action, not just a word.
Wow. That's how, and when you were going through that list, I'm like, man, this sounds like JJ did tie buckle.
100%. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Most of them are from there.
Yeah. It's when I left my corporate job, again, going back to bad leaders and so on and so forth, I left, I kind of did a Jerry Maguire type of thing, and I guess I'm dating myself because Jerry Maguire was a great movie by what's his name?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, thank you.
Cuba Gooding Jr. I know him real well.
Yeah. So I wrote a 3-page manifesto where I copied HR, ethics, the site director. But it was, in a very Marine Corps warrant officer-like manner. It was very tactful, and at the end, because one of the site managers, he was in the Marine Corps. He got out, I think he was a corporal or a sergeant when he got out. And, I said, sincerely, Francisco Pacho Correa, and then I put JJ did tie buckle at the bottom. And the guy's name was Santiago. He's like, dude, that it goes, I know when you did that, I was like, he said he got a good chuckle out of that. Let me ask you this, man. Who's Bruce? I mean, can we get introduced to Bruce? I know he's your sanity piece.
He's we're having a little bit of a neck or nerve issue with him.
Oh,
so
okay.
He's been kind of crying. Let me see if I can get him in here. Give me a minute.
Okay. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Joe has this amazing, he's a horse, basically. He's a Great Dane. Bruce. His name is Bruce.
Male Harlequin Great Dane. He's about to be 7 this year. Huh, buddy?
He's like, what's going on?
Yeah, he's all drugged up right now.
Yeah, I know what that's like. I have I have a service dog myself, and I mean, we're pretty much attached to the hip.
Yeah.
And when it's crazy because when I worked at corporate, he was, he's tethered to me, so we walk around. I mean, yes, he even had safety shoes, safety goggles. Yeah, I mean, so I used to tell him, hey, if the pooch can wear it, what's your excuse for not? But it's amazing how these everybody it's like, hey Taps, he might hear his name over here. He's like, hey Taps, or hey Bruce, is that, oh hey, what's up Joe? It's like, hey, it's like I'm here too. But we walk into Starbucks and everybody, it's they give them the little pup cups and but it's amazing how how much they bring us back to reality and just keep us grounded. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. 100%. If I'm ever feeling a little overwhelmed, had a long day, even if I'm not overwhelmed, just like, hey, I want to relax, I can put my hand on his back or on his head, and just feeling him breathe slows me down, calms me down. So he's not a service animal dog, unfortunately, but he is my service animal. It's hard to see him going through some of the little issues he's got right now, because he's not getting any younger, and the day is going to come sooner than probably later that we're going to have to put him down. So it's just a reality we live in.
Yeah. Well, let's not put him in the grave, because he's still here. Joe, yeah. Where could we find information, or if anybody wants to reach out and find out about Travis Minion Foundation or the Homo Record Project or anything, or any guidance, always seek guidance and higher leadership, where could they find you?
I mean, I'm all over LinkedIn. Kind of have my own presence there in my own way. Maybe it's an echo chamber. I don't care if it is. That's cool with me.
We all have
LinkedIn first and foremost. But if anyone wants truly reach out, should I give my email on here? Or
you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, if you want to email me, ask questions, learn about Travis Manion, or learn about the foundation, learn about the Home of Record Project, my organization, you can email me directly. It's my first name, Joseph, Joseph at homeofrecordproject.org. And if you Google the Home of Record Project as well, you'll find our website and you can dig into who we are and what we do a little bit more.
Yeah, let me. I'm and I'm showing it right now. Pretty much right there. For anybody who may be interested, and hit up, or you can hit us up right here at the show as well. We'd be more than glad to.
I'm usually pretty cool with giving out my phone number, but I don't know the audience size out there, so I'm not going to have my phone number floating out there. But certainly, if you did reach out and just wanted to have a conversation, I'll give you my phone number.
Yeah, no worries, and they can hit they can also hit us here at the show. We can make that connection and point them in the right direction. Joe, thanks so much for your time, but it's about that time. We got to go to formation, so that way we can we can go on lipo. But we'll definitely bring you back, brother. And any last minute thing that you want everybody to know or put out there? It's all good.
Keep your eyes up. Keep your heads up.
Nice. Hey, brother, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate you. Thanks for what you're doing out there for our veteran community, and first and foremost, thanks for your service, bud.
Yeah, thank you. Semper Fi.
Hoorah, get some. Hey, what an amazing dude. If you have any questions, you want to get a hold of Joe, like I said, his email is already posted. Once the show is it's posted on social media, all the comments will be out there. You can hit him up, ask questions, and go from there. And by the way, just share his information, because I know one of us out there is struggling. And speaking of struggling, if you've been struggling with rumination, just some really bad times, some crappy times. I know, as cliche as this sounds, and I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Tough times don't last, but tough guys and gals do. So that being said, if you want to talk it out, you think you're going into that rabbit hole, so to speak, reach out to the show, reach out to me. I'll call you and I'll talk you off the ledge, but give me the opportunity, because the last thing we want to do is, be talking about you at your eulogy, or you being another statistic, when, all it took was maybe connecting you with Joe or Aaron Siebert or Brian Coburn or somebody out there to help you with whatever issue you got going on. So just think about that. Use TRICARE, use the VA's suicide hotline, call me, whatever, and if you haven't heard from a buddy, do a buddy check this weekend. That's your homework. So I think this is pretty much a good time to index. Wife just got home, so it's probably child time here. So with that being said, everybody, I'm going to go index. Aistamas, Daisuki, Ara, get some. Hey, see you next week. Okay.